and the hits just keep on coming. So the latest chapter in the never-ending hashtag MeToo, hashtag Times Up saga is now that Uma Thurman has come out to share her little tale of her experience with Harvey Weinstein, also with Quentin Tarantino. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh God. Well, looks like we got another person to throw into the pyre, ladies. Because I know for a fact that once they hear that Quentin, like, when you lump Harvey Weinstein and Quentin Tarantino together, it's not going to look good. And the disheartening thing about it is that these two men should not even be in the same conversation. Each of the stories that Uma Thurman shared have nothing to do with each other. Harvey Weinstein's story is his own story, and her story with Quentin Tarantino's is a different one. But there's so much misinformation out there, and people just automatically jump to the conclusion that because she's talking about both Harvey and Quentin, they must share something in common. Or they must have been something of a sort like Quentin Tarantino knew about the allegations and he did nothing to stop it, which in a couple of articles I just finished reading, apparently he knew, but then Uma Thurman told him again, and then that's when he's like, oh my God, that happened? I'm going to have a talk with this guy. And my mind is just going all over the place with this new story because it's just one of those stories that just really upsets me. It upsets me because, or it upsets me in two ways. One, I'm actually disappointed in Quentin because of something that he did to Uma that I personally think was bad. I don't agree with it at all, and I think what he did was stupid. Although I know exactly why he did it. We'll get to that a little later. And secondly, I'm mad that Uma would even lump Quentin Tarantino together with Harvey Weinstein, especially because what Tarantino did to Uma compared to Uma, and what Harvey Weinstein did to Uma are two totally different things. And I want to make that very clear. They're two totally different things. One person sexually assaulted and raped Uma. The other person forced Uma to do something that he should not have done, like he should not have forced her to do, especially because she's not, I wouldn't say talented, but she wasn't trained to do a type of stunt like that. She's not one of those actors or actresses that do their own stunts. That's why you have a stunt double, Quentin. In fact, Zoe Bell was a stunt double in Kill Bill, so I don't know why you would force Uma to be in that car. So where do I begin? I'm trying to think where I begin with this because there's so much to unravel here. I guess I could. Let's discuss the misinformation first. So I was on Twitter doing my usual asking questions sort of self, and I saw that Uma Thurman was trending, and then I decided to click and see what she was saying, and they shared the hashtag MeToo movement. And she shared her story with Harvey Weinstein, and then she talks about Quentin Tarantino. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter just saying these outlandish things like, wow, Quentin spit on her and choked her. Wow, what a terrible person. And it made it seem as though he did all these things in secret, as if nobody knew about this, and now it's only coming to light. And that made me go, damn it, no. First of all, I didn't believe it. Because that doesn't sound like Quentin. He wouldn't do something like that in private. When I actually did some research and read some articles, I discovered that the spitting and the choking was in context to a film they were making. They made a film together called Kill Bill, where Uma Thurman was finally the star of a Quentin Tarantino film. And the production... what's the word I'm trying to think of? The production of that movie, or at least the behind the scenes details of this movie that are finally coming to light, kind of explains why I haven't seen Uma Thurman, who is considered to be Quentin Tarantino's muse, why I never saw her in another movie made by Quentin Tarantino after Kill Bill. And I think it's because of the incident that they reported on. And by the way, everything I'm talking about is in the article that's linked in the description. So if you want to read a bit about it, you can go on ahead. I lost my train of thought. I was thinking of something. Oh, about the spitting and the choking. So what happened there is that she said that when they were filming these scenes, Quentin Tarantino, and this keep in mind too that this is from her perspective. It could be very different. Maybe the people that Quentin asked to do it weren't comfortable doing it, so he said, "Okay, I guess I'll do it since I have a good relationship with Uma and she won't, misunderstand what I'm doing to her." So there's a scene where Michael Manson's character spits on Uma, and this is what I mean by maybe the actor wasn't comfortable spitting on Uma. So Quentin Tarantino stepped in, being the director, said, "Okay, well, since me and Uma Thurman have such good rapport, we're good friends, she won't mind me spitting on her for this scene." And then there's another scene where she's fighting that one Japanese girl, the one that's twirling the big old spiked ball, and there's a shot where she's being choked by it, and apparently Quentin Tarantino was doing the choking for that scene. And I could explain it in this way. For anyone who knows Quentin Tarantino, this man is a perfectionist to a T. This is a man that will constantly redo takes if it's not to his liking. Now, it could be one of two things. Maybe the actors were not comfortable doing the scene, or maybe what they were doing in this scene wasn't what Quentin wanted, or they just couldn't fulfill Quentin's vision. They kept doing it wrong. So he's like, damn it, okay, if you can't do it, I'll do it. So he spits on Uma's face because that's how he pictured it in his mind. And then the choking too, that's probably how he pictured it. It wasn't done in malicious intent. I mean, they make it seem as though he did this so that he could have some wank off footage later on in the day, so he could just like, I got to spit on Uma. Oh, I got to choke her. Yeah. No. Quentin would. If you knew the relationship that Uma and Quentin had, he never would have saw her in any sort of sexual light. They were this. So, and keep in mind, if he really wanted to, all he had to do was make her do foot scenes. Everybody knows about Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish. It's not a secret. If he truly wanted to sexualize Uma, he would constantly take shots of her feet. Now, there's a couple of scenes, I think, in Kill Bill. I think the one where it was blatant, I'm like, oh, Quentin, why'd you do that? Is the part where she's like, wiggle your big toe. And that was really the only moment I clearly remember him shooting a shot with Uma's foot. So, but other than that, they never had this sort of sexual relationship. He always respected Uma, at least from the stories that I've read in the past. Now, of course, this is whole perspective, opinion. One person sees it one way and the other person sees it the other way. But that's how I saw it. When people were talking about him spitting on her and choking her, those were taken completely out of context. They needed to emphasize the fact that the spitting and the choking were in the context of shooting a scene in his film. He didn't do this outside of a studio setting. It's not like he dragged Uma into his trailer, started spitting on her and choking her just to get some sexual pleasure. He did it in the context of his film because that's what he was looking for in that moment, in that scene. So please, if you read people talking about how Quentin Tarantino spat and choked Uma Thurman, keep in mind there's more to that story than just that. But the thing I can't really forgive Quentin, and I do feel like he's in the wrong for this, I'm not going to defend him, but I will highlight why I think he did it, is the whole making Uma Thurman drive an obviously dangerous car through rugged terrain, which led to Uma Thurman crashing into a palm tree and getting like her neck hurt and her knee hurt. I honestly cannot defend Quentin for doing that. I have no defense for it, and I don't know why he did it. It makes no sense. Uma Thurman doesn't do her own stunts. That's why you got Zoe Bell. She does Uma Thurman stunts. So I don't know. And she was on the set for Kill Bill. What was she sick that day? So he's just like, I really need to get this shot, Uma. You need to get in the car. Like, I would love to know more context of why Quentin put her in the car. Because if the stunt double was sick, if Zoe Bell was sick, maybe that's why they were on like a tight schedule to finish the shot. So he just needed Uma to just do some driving for him. But clearly he should have, at least if he could, hire another stunt double for that day, get somebody else to get some payment, instead of putting Uma Thurman in an obviously dangerous situation. I can't forgive that. But I know exactly why he did it. Kind of highlighting what I mentioned earlier about maybe they were on crunch time and he really wanted to get the shot done. Quentin Tarantino when he has a set vision for something, nothing's really going to deter him from doing it. He'll do it regardless of what anybody else thinks. People were laughing at him when he said he wants to make a spaghetti western out of World War II. They're like, nobody's going to watch that. One of his highest grossing films. Nobody wants to see a sort of lampooning of slavery in Django Unchained, Quentin. They're going to think that's insensitive. His highest grossing film of all time. He really doesn't give a fuck what people think about him making these films. He'll make them regardless. So keeping that in mind, the type of personality that Quentin Tarantino has, he's very outspoken. He rambles on like a madman. I guess that's why I can relate to him. And, this guy is just very passionate about what he does. He loves filmmaking, and he'll do whatever it takes to get the right shot. And I guess in that moment, because he really wanted this shot, he asked Uma to get in the car. Now, again, I'm not trying to defend this action. I still would not have put Uma in that car. If she truly is as close of a friend as I've heard for years and years, why the hell would you put your best friend in a dangerous situation such as that? That, to me, is ludicrous. And you should have known better, Quentin. I can't forgive you for that. I know why you did it, but I can't forgive you for it. And I don't like, again, I want to go back. I don't like the fact that this is being roped into the MeToo movement and the hashtag Time's Up movement. The whole story dealing with Quentin Tarantino is not a story of sexual abuse. It's not a story of sexual assault. It's not anything like that. Now, I've heard an argument that it's a story about abuse of power, which I can hear an argument for. That is definitely a sign of abuse of power. But does that really entail someone losing their job for having one instance where they flew off the handle just so that they could get a certain shot? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I mean, I'll say this. If Uma was terribly hurt from this, like I'm talking like crippled for life, and there was no justice given to her, and Quentin continued on as if this never happened, then yeah, I think he should be punished, whether that's losing his job or losing his credibility. Yeah, because that's a scumbag thing to do. But that's not what happened. When the accident actually happened, Quentin apologized to Uma. He apologized to her then husband, Ethan Hawke. He felt remorse for what he did. And they actually got into a bunch of fights after, that whole thing happened, after the premiere and everything. They got into fights, and Uma accused him of trying to kill her. And if you have one of your best friends in the world accuse you of trying to kill them, would you not feel heartbroken? Would you not feel insulted? That's probably what, Quentin felt. He was like, really, Uma? You really think that I would want to kill you? You, the person that made Pulp Fiction possible for me, my muse. Why would I ever want to kill you? So I think that really caused the schism to get deeper, that accusation of trying to kill him. And even Uma says that maybe she went a bit too far on that, because it didn't seem like that was the case. But going back to the point, I don't think that this is a hashtag MeToo, hashtag Time's Up issue. This is more of a personal issue between two coworkers. And I do think that although I know why he did it, Quentin Tarantino was in the wrong for putting her in that car, putting her in a dangerous situation. Another thing I hear a lot, and I saw this on Twitter too, is people like saying, well, because Quentin Tarantino knew about Harvey Weinstein's despicable behavior yet did nothing about it, he should lose his job. How dare he? He's basically enabling Harvey Weinstein to do what he does. Listen, if Quentin Tarantino loses his job because he's known for years about Harvey Weinstein and what he's been doing in Hollywood, then that means everyone else that also knew should lose their job. Meryl Streep should never act again. Oprah should lose her network. Hillary should not be held up as some icon. The Obamas should be ashamed of themselves. All these things. Because all of those people are also to blame if you're going to blame Quentin Tarantino. If you're going to blame one, blame all. Because they're all, according to your logic, they're all guilty. They're all part of the problem. You can't just say because maybe you don't like Quentin Tarantino, yeah, he's the problem. He should lose his job. If that's the case, then so should the other people who ignored his behavior for all these years. I just want fair to be fair. If you're going to condemn Quentin Tarantino, then I want to hear some condemnation of Hillary, Oprah, the Obamas, freaking Meryl Streep. I want to hear condemnation for all of them. I want you to put their names out there. Then I'd be like, you know what? At least you're being, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Consistent. At least you're being consistent. Here, if you don't even mention them, I feel like you're being a hypocrite. Because one person did it, but when the other person did it, you didn't make a big fuss about it. So be consistent. Don't be a hypocrite. I also want to read this Mashable article. I want to share this one with you guys. Hold on. Excuse me. Let's see. Let me just see if I can share my screen real quick. Here we go. I want to read this article with you guys. It's called Uma Thurman's story about Tarantino isn't about sex, but it's still a Me Too, hashtag Me Too share. No, it's not. It's totally different. After the New York Times published Uma Thurman's hashtag MeToo account on Saturday, one person dominated the coverage, Harvey Weinstein. Oh, no duh. But the actress recounted two stories of abuse in the Times piece, one featuring Harvey Weinstein, the other Quentin Tarantino. Only the Weinstein story featured sexual assault and misconduct, which is why only one would be classified as a traditional MeToo story. The allegations against Tarantino are harder to classify. They don't involve sexual assault or harassment or anything that could be neatly categorized as sexual misconduct. Exactly. By the way, here's the writer, Heather Dockery. Let's see what she has to say. But both stories, however distant from one another, I'm reading this wrong. But both stories, however distant from one another they may seem, that sounds grammatically wrong, involve abuse of power that feels both gendered and familiar, adding a whole new layer of complexity to the increasingly intricate Me Too conversation. Again, I can hear an argument for the abuse of power, although both gendered and familiar, I don't agree. I don't think he put her in these situations, and I don't think he put her in these situations because she was a female. That's just what the scene detailed. It's more of an abuse of power from somebody telling someone to do other thing or doing something else. In the piece, which in full blah blah blah, Thurman alleges that Tarantino compromised her physical safety while on the set of Kill Bill. For one particular stunt, Tarantino asked Thurman, who is not a stunt actor, to drive a blue converter. Damn, I can't speak today. To drive a blue convertible that had recently been refitted with an automatic transmission. According to the actress, the Teamster had told her the car might not be operating that well. Oh, come on, Tarantino, really? Thurman expressed her concerns to Tarantino and asked that a stunt person drive the car instead. She shared what she remembers of Tarantino's response with the Times. He was furious because I cost him a lot of time. See, this is in character with Tarantino. That quote right there that's Tarantino right there. And he has an anger like no other. But I was scared. He said, I promise you the car is fine. It's a straight piece of road. Okay, don't lie, Tarantino. I saw the video, man. There was a lot of twists and turns. That was a windy ass road, and it didn't even look like it was paved. It looked like it was rocky. So sorry, I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that, man. In the end, he persuaded me to do it. In the end, he persuaded her to do it. Now, I honestly think that she mostly did it because at this point in time, their friendship was still strong. It was still holding. So she put her faith in Tarantino that what he was telling her was true. You know, a lot of friends would probably do that as well. Although I don't know why Tarantino. Again, I just feel like he could have just hired another stunt double that day. It wouldn't be hard. Come on. Thurman crashed the car while shooting the scene, leaving crew members to pull her from the wreckage. She said the incident left her with permanent damage on both her neck and her knees. Thurman pressed Tarantino for 15 years before he agreed to show her footage of the incident. But her description of his behavior on the day of the crash is just one example of a reoccurring pattern. She said the director also personally performed some of the film's more sadistic stunts, including spitting in her face and choking her. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. It's so hard to know how to characterize Tarantino's alleged behavior without minimizing it or making it something it's not. It's not sexual abuse. It's not physical assault. Well, I'm glad that you point out that there's a difference because this was in the context of the film itself. What happened to Thurman on the set of Kill Bill is nonetheless a dangerous, seemingly gendered abuse of power. No, it's not a gendered abuse of power. It's just an abuse of power. If this was a man, I guarantee you, if this was a man, Tarantino would have done the exact same thing. I've heard stories of when he was working in Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards, where he had to make men. I mean, shit, he had to ask Jamie Foxx to do that nude scene hanging naked. Could you imagine? So yeah, I don't think it wasn't a gendered abuse of power. It was just an abuse of power. Her story hits home in the industry where male auteurs like Tarantino have so much power over the actresses they call their muse, as Tarantino has called Thurman throughout his career. Ugh. But why is that a problem? What's wrong with calling somebody your inspiration? That's what a muse is. Muse provide inspiration. It's not a sexist term. God, don't get triggered, man. You were doing so well, so stop getting triggered. Notably, Thurman said that it was Tarantino's actions, not Weinstein's, that finally killed her. Harvey assaulted me, but that didn't kill me. Thurman told the Times. What really got me about the crash was that it was a cheap shot. I had been through so many rings of fires by that point. I had really always felt a connection to the greater good in my work with Tarantino or with Quentin. And most of what I allowed to happen to me and what I participated in was kind of like a horrible mud wrestle with a very angry brother. But at least I'd had some say, you know. So basically what you're saying is that although you did do all these like things that are equivalent to a horrible mud wrestle, you had some say in it. So you had some power. You don't pretend like you didn't have any power in this situation. You did. And remember, Quentin Tarantino respected Uma Thurman. He respected her opinion. He respected her as an artist as well. He just flew off the handle in that one moment that, again, I'm not going to I'm not going to give him a pass for. I still think he was in the wrong for that. The incident transformed Thurman from creative collaborator and performer to a broken tool. Her experience has echoes. It's also a challenge to pin down. Outside of vocabulary like exploitation and abuse, Tarantino's alleged actions can't be neatly classified. That's life. Sometimes life is hard to neatly classify because there's so many gray areas in life. This is one of those examples. In fact, Tarantino's alleged response may require a more specific vocabulary, one that the Me Too movement has yet to develop. Okay, here's an example. Listen. Quentin Tarantino choked Uma Thurman, spat in her face, and forced her into a car crash. You see that? See that sensational statement right there? No context, though. Why did he choke Uma Thurman? Why did he spit in her face? Why did he force her into a car crash? You say stuff like that, and people are going to retrend that shit and like it and say, oh, what an awful person Quentin Tarantino was. When you need to know, oh, shit. Why did I click that? He choked Uma Thurman because the scene that they were shooting required her character to be choked. It's not like he choked her because he just felt like choking her. He spat in her face, same reason. It was for the scene. It wasn't because he resented Uma Thurman, like, haha, I hate you, spit in your face. And as for the force into a car crash, he didn't force her into a car crash. He just forced her to do a stunt in a obviously dangerous car that led to a car crash. He didn't plan a car crash. The car crash happened, and that's based on poor judgment on Tarantino's part. It's statements like these that generalize everything that I fucking hate. After the Weinstein revelation, Tarantino said, I knew enough to do more than I did. He was part of the abuse, just as so many other men pretending to be shocked or sorry are. Again, buddy, if you're going to call Quentin Tarantino out, call out Oprah, call out Meryl Streep, call out the Obamas, call out Hillary. All of them. I want you to call all of them out. Don't say that Tarantino is part of the abuse. If that's the case, then all of those guys are part of the abuse as well. There's an argument to be made that Thurman's Tarantino story belongs in a different conversation. I agree. One that parallels to Me Too. Not necessarily. The behavior that she describes fits neatly into the debates we have about gender, toxic masculinity, and abuse of power. These two things do not belong in this statement. Abuse of power is the only thing that is what's the word I'm thinking of? Abuse of power is the only thing that belongs in this statement, not gender, not toxic masculinity. Where's the toxic masculinity? I don't see it. Since Tarantino's alleged abuse of Thurman wasn't specifically sexual, the logic goes, it doesn't belong in the Me Too conversation, even if it still fits alongside it. It's a well-intended line of reasoning, but one that might eclipse the movement's fundamental message. Well, if your movement's message is that hard to destroy, then the foundation of the movement is weak. I'm just saying. When you make your movement so black and white, yet you don't allow any gray area, your movement's going to crumble. I'm sorry to tell you that. Tarantino did not harass Thurman, at least not in the traditional sense. He did, however, abuse his position in a way that feels both gendered and to thousands of women who will read the story systematic. Fuck, leave that shit out. I don't even want to know. I don't even know if I want to read this anymore. I feel like it's just going to go on this whole thing like what Tarantino did wasn't technically part of the Me Too movement. However, it's still abuse of a woman and it's systematic oppression. It's not. Stop that. You know what? I think I'm done reading it. I think I've read enough. Yep. It's getting to that point. So let me just read the last statement then. You don't have to be a female star in Hollywood for a story about men who abuse their position to resonate. You know, female stars can also abuse their powers. Don't get so high and mighty right now. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you can't abuse your power. Just look at the fucking Time's Up movement. They're abusing their power as we speak. We might not know where exactly the position Thurman's story under the Me Too umbrella, but it still belongs there, even if we don't know how to label it yet. Dun, dun, dun. It does not belong in the Me Too movement. It doesn't. All right, back to my lovely face. All right, well, let me just read some of your comments regarding this now. So, because I think I've shared everything that I wanted to talk about regarding the whole Tarantino debacle. I don't think he belongs in this discussion of Me Too. Time's up. He did one thing wrong. The other two things I don't think he did wrong. I cannot give him an excuse for putting her into a dangerous situation. Like, come on, Tarantino, that's your friend. Don't put her in that car. Get a stunt double to do that. All right, let's go ahead and read some of these comments. So there is a Saturday stream after all. I know I was a bit late to the party. I didn't know if I was gonna make one because I actually have a bunch of videos I want to get to today. So but I saw this Uma Thurman story, and like I said, Tony Talks. The point of this channel is just basically to air out my grievances, shoot the shit, go on rambles, just like I said, verbal diarrhea. That's what this channel is. This is more of a catharsis channel for me to just express myself and let it all out. Because sometimes I just feel like venting. I feel like talking. Sometimes I'm not gonna make the most sense. Other times I'll make a lot of sense. But mostly it's just for me to just let it all out. I will never understand why feet are a fetish discussion. John, you have no idea. You have no idea how deep the fetish community goes. Foot fetish is one of the tamest fetishes you'll ever find in that community. One of the tamest. You can't understand it. You find it disgusting. Yet that fetish is literally like top 5 tamest fetishes in that community. It's good to see you, Tony. It's good to see you too, Fire Emblem 27. Next thing you know, someone's gonna attack Rob Zombie for the Devil's Reject. I would not be surprised. What happened? Ironic that I just saw Inglourious Bastards last night. Well, I'm considering you made that comment a few minutes ago, or like 20 minutes ago. You probably know what I'm talking about now. Could you imagine if Hitchcock were still alive today? Oh my God, that guy would be hung out to dry. They would crucify that man. Now, he was a scumbag. Although, again, I think that there needs to be a conversation about separating the art from the artist. A piece of art can speak for itself. But an artist, they could be terrible people. We don't know. And I think there should be a separation between the two. Hitler, some of his paintings look nice. Doesn't mean that he's a great person either. Andrew Jackson was considered one of the best presidents in America. He was a flaming racist. When they were doing, what was it? Was it the War of 1812, I think? He broke into Louisiana, fucking massacred a bunch of Native Americans. He was the one responsible for the Trail of Tears. He kicked the Native Americans out of their land, claiming that it's manifest destiny that we own this land. It's ours. God said we can have it, which I don't fucking buy for. I might actually make a video about that, why I don't believe in religion. That'd be a great video to make. See, now I'm thinking of so many things to do. Don't you know it's easy to play victim than to actually provide arguments, evidence, common sense, or anything of value? They're whoring for attention, fame, and victim points. I agree. I agree with that to a certain degree. I think a lot of them are, but some of them, the problem is that when you lump in the majority who are out to get some fame and recognition with the people that are actually being abused, that hurts your cause. It's like the example I did yesterday regarding Reese Witherspoon with those 7 ladies. Out of all of those ladies, she's the only one that felt genuine, that felt like she wanted to fight for this cause. While everyone just joined on it to kind of get some publicity, get some notoriety. Oh, hey, I'm part of this, like Me Too. Hashtag Me Too. And the thing is, I won't say it discredits her, but it kind of tarnishes a bit of what she's trying to say because now she's lumped in with the fakes. It's like, well, if you're part of them, how do I know you're not faking your own story? It hurts the validity of what she was trying to say, thus hurting the victim even more. Hey, Tex. Hey, you're in the chat. Hey, happy belated birthday, man. I was gonna comment on your video, but you disabled comments. What was that all about? Come on, man. I thought we were friends, Tex. I guess we're not friends anymore. All right, where are we going? Oh, I know. There's fetishes that I know of that I don't even want to go into. Yeah, I know the feeling. There's some things that my mind will never. They will never be erased now. Thank you, internet. Hitler became one of the worst dictators on earth because of his paintings and drawings. Because his paintings and drawings sucked. Doubtful. I think the World War II or World War I is what caused him to become a ruthless dictator. They just needed a scapegoat. Let's see. Any more comments? Only people who use the buzzword toxic masculinity are radical leftist feminists. I agree. I've never heard anybody but a feminist talk about toxic masculinity. Excuse me. What are your feelings on Dark Side Phil? I have no idea who the hell is that. Dark Side Phil? Do I know that guy? I don't think I know that guy. Let me look that up. I'm gonna end this chat in 3 minutes because I basically said everything I said already, or I said everything I wanted to say. I expressed everything I wanted to say, and I'm just pretty much done. I want to actually get to some of the videos I want to make today. I got a lot of videos I want to make. Quick update to those who are subscribed to my other channel. I will be uploading my next anime review this Tuesday. I finished it already, but I'm deciding to release it on Tuesday to stick to my usual schedule and to help me pile up on some of the reviews I still need to make. Hopefully I'll have a review out tomorrow if I get it done. I'm going to go see The Shape of Water. And I'm actually going to do something a bit different than I usually do. I'm going to start a new segment on my channel called Is It Oscar Worthy? I'm going to review all of the Oscar films and basically decide whether or not I think that they're Oscar worthy. So, going to do that. That's going to be a bunch of fun. How was your day? Well, my day just started. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here, so let's see. Thoughts on Tarantino's newest films, the Star Trek film and the Manson murder film. Is he really making a Star Trek film? I don't really. Tarantino making a Star Trek film. Okay, I guess so. That's interesting. As for the Manson murders films, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with that. I'm very curious to see how that's going to be received. Let's see. Why did you omit the top 2017 vids? I didn't omit them. I tried my damnedest to make them, but I just had no motivation to do them. I just gave up on it. All right. Well, I guess I'm just going to end the chat here, guys. I thank you all for watching and listening to me ramble on and on again, as I usually do. And be sure to check out the other channel, as I'll be releasing some new videos over there real soon. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon.